With so many people living paycheck to paycheck, or struggling with student loans, and still spending their last dollar on frivolous things like alcohol and jewelry, it seems to me that the skill of being frugal is sorely needed. In this video, I will run down 10 ways to be frugal. Even adopting just one or two of these habits will help you out. I should mention though, that these suggestions are good for the goal of being frugal, but could be bad for other goals, like having an active social life or being healthy. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend following all of them, just consider which ones would work for you. The thing to keep in mind most of all is that being frugal isn't just a checklist of things you do or don't do, it's a mindset.
Unplug that clock, boy. You can't tell time when you sleep. It's 2 cents an hour.
It's analyzing all the things you value and thinking, how could I do this cheaper? And equally importantly, it's not spending money on things you don't value. So perhaps more than anything, frugality is about having your priorities in order, knowing what you want, knowing what you can afford, and knowing how much something is worth to you. The first, and in my opinion, the most important habit to adopt, is documenting all of your spending. This is something that everyone can and should do. I used to do it all with pen and paper, then I got smart and started using numbers to do it. I would recommend splitting up your spendings into categories, like so. My categories are food, apartment, car, health, entertainment, clothing, girlfriend, earnings, and other. I've been meaning to go back through all my purchases and turn all my travel expenses into its own category, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. But anyway, the idea is to divide your spendings between your most frequent categories and to put all the miscellaneous things together. Then, at the end of each month, you can add up your spendings for that month overall and by category. My second suggestion is closely related to the first. Budget yourself each month, and try to beat your score from the previous month. I like to do this by category. First, you'll need a few months worth of data on your spendings. Then you'll have an idea of how much you typically spend in a month on, say, your car. Now you can set a goal for yourself, to not spend more than that normal amount, or even better, to spend a bit less. You normally spend $200 in your car each month. This month, spend no more than $190. You could do this by driving less, going to cheaper places for maintenance, getting fewer parking tickets, whatever. Then you repeat this process until you can't possibly spend less. Number 3, 4, and 5 are all related. They are cook, buy the cheapest food you can, and don't go out to eat. Going out to eat is a very expensive habit. I try to do it on special occasions only. Cooking your own food will save you a lot of money. The trade-off here is time. It can be time-consuming to cook every day. My solution to this is don't cook every day. Cook giant amounts of food and then eat leftovers for a week. The trade-off with buying the cheapest food you can is health. It's a bit of a misconception that healthy food is expensive, but the cheapest food there is almost never healthy. So choose your point on the spectrum wisely. The extra few dollars to include vegetables in your diet is well worth it. After all, the point of frugality is not to die at age 27 of malnourishment. Here's what I used to do. I would go grocery shopping once every 2 weeks or so. I would buy all the cheapest peanut butter, jelly, bread, pasta sauce, ramen, and those $1 boxes of mac and cheese. I would also buy some apples, granola bars, and yogurt. At work, I would have a PB&J, a granola bar, and an apple or yogurt for lunch. And then for dinner, I would make enough pasta for 4 meals. I would also get some fruits and spinach to make myself a few smoothies. My monthly food cost was $80. Like I said at the beginning, it's not exactly healthy, but it is cheap. Nowadays, I've shifted my priorities more towards health, but I'm still spending less per month on food than anyone who goes out to eat. 6. When you're shopping, do cost per ounce calculations. One would think that the biggest options are the best deal, but surprisingly, it's often not true, especially if they're on any sort of sale. More broadly, when you're buying anything, do a cost per hour calculation. Think about how much use you'll get out of a thing compared to its cost. This is easiest with entertainment. For instance, Skyrim cost me $60. I played Skyrim my first time through for 360 hours. So for me, Skyrim ended up costing 16 cents per hour. Compare this to seeing a movie. My local movie theater sells tickets for about $12. For a 2-hour movie, that's $6 per hour. And that's without buying any concessions. Skyrim is the better deal by far. So if you're going to play video games, then buy one game that you'll play for 6 months, rather than 6 games that you'll play a month each. But this same idea can apply to far more than video games. 7. Only buy things that will last a long time. Not just how much use you'll get out of them, but how durable they are. This is especially important with technology. Most things are built with a cruel and manipulative principle called planned obsolescence. It makes sense for a company to do. If you sell a blender that will work for 100 years, your customer will only ever buy one blender from you. If you sell a blender that will work for 5 years, they'll buy many blenders. This hasn't always been the case. Think of cars. Have you ever wondered why those cars from the 80s still run perfectly, but cars from the early 2000s run like shit? They made cars to last in the 80s. Not so much anymore. Apple and other phone companies do this with updates. The phone itself will last longer than they want you to keep it, but they'll make your phone worse and worse compared to the new ones with every update. So buy things that will still work in 20 years. And take care of your items. Not buying a new phone every year will save you so much money. And not breaking or losing any of your things will save a lot of money too. That brings us to suggestion number 8. Pursue free hobbies. Bowling? No. Bird watching? Yes. Painting? No. Reading? Yes. That is, if you use the library, which you should definitely do. Libraries are amazing places. More books than you could read in a lifetime. For free. Just make sure to return them on time. There are many expensive hobbies in this world, but there are also many free ones. Like all of these suggestions, there is a trade-off here. Hobbies are, presumably, the thing you enjoy most in life. If you spend your free time writing short stories or making board games, it's because you love doing it. So to limit your hobby options is to limit your happiness. So then if not free, try a hobby that requires a one-time payment rather than continued payments. Like skateboarding versus snowboarding. To get into skateboarding, all it takes is buying a skateboard. There are many free skate parks. But for snowboarding, not only is the barrier to entry much higher, you also have to pay each time you go to the ski park. 9. Don't pay for socialization. People going to bars to hang out is an epidemic. I don't understand it. You're just throwing your money away. No. If you want to hang out with your friends, do it at home. You won't have to spend any money, and you'll actually be able to hear each other without yelling. And if you're worried that you don't have anything to do at your place and your friend will be bored, a board game costs less than a single night at a bar, as does really any in-home entertainment. Unfortunately, the hard part is trying to get your friends to agree to be more interesting than spending the evening at a bar. Alternatively, you could just not have friends. Not having friends is free. And finally, be healthy. Being obese costs more than being healthy. Not just because you're eating more food than you otherwise would, but the medical costs. Plus all the other non-financial costs, like an early death. The truth that most people like to deny is that medication is more expensive than health. I mean health in all ways, physical and mental. If you're feeling extra frugal, then you can also never go to the doctor or dentist. However, for this to be totally frugal, you've got to never need to go to the doctor. You have to maintain your health. Otherwise, you'll end up paying more for your triple bypass surgery than for 20 years of regular doctor visits. Considering that this video is already long enough, but I have more suggestions to give, I might make a sequel sometime in the future. But for now, that's all I have. Thanks for watching, and hopefully one or two of these will be helpful to you.